Hi, everybody. My name is Carrie Gardy. I'm the director of the Career Development Center at Kutztown University. Welcome to Salary Negotiation Strategies presentation. During this presentation, you will learn to identify sources to be able to conduct some salary research, to create an anticipated monthly budget. That's important. You need to know what you can survive on and thrive on. And of course, to practice appropriate phrases in negotiations. So the concept of this presentation is that you've received a job offer, and now you're asking yourself, should you even negotiate the salary and benefits package that was offered? Some important things to keep in mind: that 8 out of 10 companies are willing to negotiate when they offer positions to prospective candidates, but only 3 out of 10 job candidates ever try. Negotiating is not mandatory, but it is acceptable. Again, 8 out of 10 companies are willing to negotiate. Everyone should always consider negotiating. We should not fail to negotiate because we're nervous or scared about doing it. Hopefully, after hearing this presentation today, you'll have a better thought process in the decision of should I negotiate or not. Although not everyone should. You must have a business reason to negotiate fair compensation. It is not for personal reasons, and that's really important. So a conversation should never be, well, I have so many student loans, or I have a family to take care of, those two are good examples. So it should be because the job, according to your research, the offer is not where it should be. So we're going to cover that today. So should you negotiate? Salary negotiation is about the job. It's not about you. And it's about what the employer is willing to pay for the work. So the employer has an opportunity, they have needs, they have goals that need to be met, work to be done, and this is what they pay. Companies typically do not withdraw offers because you are negotiating, but they can. So it is not a risk-free process. It's not something you have to do. It is when you do your research and decide, I'm going to do it because according to my research, they are not where they should be. And remember, you have to live in the climate you create. So it should never be a very negative thing, a very ultimatum slanted thing where you need to offer me this or I will leave. And while that might be the case, it really depends on your approach and how you say things. So what's important to you? As students are job searching, anyone is job searching, it's really important to think about what are the pieces that are important to me or even necessary to me with my future and my career and the positions that I'm looking at, organizations I'm looking into. So obviously salary is at the top of the list. You need to be paid, you need to know how much you can survive on, but there are things also to take into consideration, like location. Is it in a location that's desirable to you? Does it cost more to live or commute to that location? Is it in a location where you could maybe stay home with your parents for a couple of years and save up some money, your family? So those are some things you need to take into consideration. Does it provide an opportunity for advancement? So maybe the starting salary isn't right where you wanted it to be, but you know that getting your foot in the door, you will be able to move up and onward, either with them or with another organization. Flexibility of schedule. This may or may not be important to you. Opportunity to work remotely, opportunity to work longer days and take a half day on Friday. You want to work weekends, so you have 2 weekdays off. Coworkers and culture. This one's a little tougher to assess because you never really know until you get in there. But I will say that today with social media, more organizations are transparent than ever. They post, you get a sense of their culture from what they post on Twitter, their Twitter feeds. So you can follow organizations on social media and get a little glimpse into the people who work there and of course what they're involved with. Travel. Do you want to travel and they afford that? Do you not want to travel and that's an expectation? Vacation. Do you have to wait a whole year before you get a week vacation? How many weeks do you get? Retirement. I always like to bring this up to students because please start putting money away, retirement money away, as soon as you graduate and are working full time. And it could be a minimal amount, and then your job is just to remember to increase it as you get older and older. But compound interest, that money will be working for you all your years, and you want to treat yourself well so you have a nice retirement amount. A lot of companies also have matching programs, and they might even require you to put in 3% of your salary, and they match 3%. And then you can also put in up to an additional maybe 9% of your salary, and put away as much as you can. It will be automatically withdrawn, put into this account. You don't have to do anything. So set that up and you'll be glad you did. So again, what's important to you, you need to look into that as you're job searching and considering accepting an offer. All right, so let's talk about budget and salary. So normally in a classroom, we would brainstorm, what are the things that you need to pay every month to live and thrive in the US. So here's a nice list. You might want to take a screenshot of this, but these are things to think about. It adds up. So obviously rent, utilities, you're going to have to start paying back some student loans perhaps, food, so not just shopping, but dining out, your car or transportation if you have to get a bus pass, a metro pass. And the car is the car, but it's also gas, annual inspection, maintenance, needing new tires, etc. Insurance, all the different types of insurance, medical, dental, vision, rental, car insurance, phone insurance. We have phone and data there, clothing, haircuts, entertainment, gifts and presents for holidays and birthdays, vacation, putting money away every month toward a vacation fund, and of course, taxes. So it's really important to evaluate how your life might change from being a student to a full-time working professional and how your budget might change. And for some students, they start paying these things on their own that maybe a family member covered while they were in school. So sit down, type it all out, plan out, and evaluate, okay, this is minimally what I need to be making in order just to be in the black, to be able to pay my bills. And then obviously you want to set a target salary. So salary is actually based on 4 different things. One is what are the market rates for the job? So in this year, what does an employer in this geographic region pay for this type of position? Obviously the employer's budget, and sometimes there's a range, and we'll talk about that. Assessment of your capabilities. So you do play into this. It's not just this is the position, but maybe if you bring a little bit more to the table, you did an internship, you have a certain skill set with a computer program, like you're really strong with Microsoft Excel or Access, they might be able to and willing to pay a little bit more. And of course, also your ability to negotiate, that plays into it. I like that quote on the left. It says, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. If you don't know your own worth and value for the position, don't expect someone else to calculate it for you. And then the asterisk at the bottom there says, aim a little above your target salary to give yourself negotiating room. So we'll talk about that. But if they are going to say, ask for a definitive number, and you've done your budget, you've done your research, you should be at, let's just say 40,000 a year, you wouldn't say 40, you would say 45, 43. And then if they offer more, great. If not, maybe they would offer 40 and you'd be where you expect it to be. Okay, so how does this work? The first part is to really research the marketplace. You have to know your industry. So again, if you're applying for this type of position, the job, with this type of organization, maybe it's a smaller company that you never heard of. By the way, students, the majority of employers in the country are small to medium-sized companies you've never heard of. We all know the big name, right, companies, but just because you didn't hear of them doesn't mean there are not opportunities and wonderful experiences there. So keep that in mind. And also, it doesn't mean that these large organizations like Apple or Google, Fortune 500 companies, it doesn't necessarily mean that they pay more either. And then it is up to you to do the research, and you can look into salary and benefits. So right there is a nice list of websites to go to. Salary.com is one of my favorites, and I'm going to pull it up at the end, but you can very easily look up, type a job title in there, type a city and state, and then type a couple different cities and states and see how it varies. And that information that is in these sites is pulled from federal databases of what employers are paying their employees. So it's important to know your industry. It's also important to know your worth and be prepared to justify it. Frankly, you need to do this when you're typing up your resume and cover letter, when you're creating your LinkedIn profile, when you're about to go on an interview, to really be able to sell what your strengths are. So what you can contribute to their profitability and goals. We share this with students all the time. Yes, you want the job. Yes, you're going to learn and grow and gain great things from it. But your message when you're internship seeking, job seeking, is how will you help the employer, not how they will help you. It's how you will help them meet their goals. Emphasize common goals. Employers want to hire and give offers to people that they think are excited about the opportunity. Someone that is going to make a really great fit with what you want to do, your goals and interests, and what they are trying to fulfill, and the goals they're trying to meet. They want to hire that person because you're going to be happy and you're going to work hard. It's going to be a pleasant experience, and you're not going to quit in 3 to 6 months because it wasn't what you thought. What differentiates you and makes you an outstanding candidate? So we use that word a lot in the Career Center, differentiate. So what can you do to differentiate yourself from all the other students, KU and elsewhere, who have the same major as you, right? So yes, you are in this major. Do you want to emphasize certain courses? Do you want to emphasize hopefully your internship, your research experience, your related job, volunteer experience, etc.? Okay, so you have an idea, not an idea, you know about the industry now more than ever before, and you know what your worth is and how you're going to communicate that to the employer. So now we're at the negotiating piece, and we want you to keep in mind your approach. So let's talk about timing. You would never discuss salary until you've received a job offer. Okay, so if an employer asks, or if it's on an application, you would not share that information, and I'm going to give you wording on how you would pivot and say something to get them to be able to provide that. Never be the first to name a salary figure, and really don't leave money on the table. Avoid the tendency to accept whatever's offered because you're glad to get a job. So this happens a lot, right? We're excited, we get an offer. The job search process is not fun. So when you finally get an offer, you might just be like, yes, I'll accept it. We want you to just pause and have done this research and really have an understanding of what it is, what the salary and benefits should be, and allow you some time to process it. And you can say, how soon do you need to have an answer by? Thank you so much. I'm really excited about this opportunity. Is it okay if I could have a day or two to just really look over all the information? Or they might come out and tell you right away. They might give you a week. They might give you 1 day. Okay, enthusiasm, professionalism, and manner. So always, even throughout the whole application and interview process, we expect you to be enthusiastic, professional, be polite, respectful, positive, and energetic, and be persuasive yet flexible. So this is obviously pertaining to if you decide to negotiate. So what we're going to go over now are the wording and power phrases. Before I pull that up, I want to show you here the wrong approaches. Getting personal student loans expenses. I mentioned that already. It should never be, for example, you have 2 kids and you need to be paid more. That is not a professional negotiation statement. It is about the job. It's about what you can do for them. It's not your own personal history. And that doesn't make sense. Does that mean somebody who doesn't have kids should be paid less? It's again, not a personal reason. Avoid absolutes in your language. I need, I must, I have to. While that might be the case because you've done your budget planning and you really can't accept this offer if it's not where it should be according to your research and what you need, that might be the case, but you don't say it that way. Giving ultimatums and focusing only on salary. So I am going to pull up our handout. And this is a handout we give during the workshop. So if you're watching this and you want to send the Career Center an email and just tell us you watched the online workshop and you'd like the handout, email careerhelp@kutztown.edu and we will send this to you. No problem. Okay, so there are some other benefits that you should take into consideration in addition to salary. So here's a list. Dependent care, employee assistance programs, flexibility, we talked about that. Any kind of health and wellness support that they offer. What do they offer if you are working remotely? All the different insurances. Maybe you have two offers and they're the same salary, but one offers medical, vision, and dental, and the other one doesn't. Or they both do, but one is $300 a month out of pocket and the other one is $80 a month out of pocket. So you really want to look into that and understand that's something that could perhaps be negotiated if salary is not, or in addition to salary. Overtime, are you paid overtime? Travel premiums, that's compensation time. So maybe you're not paid time and a half because it's a salaried position, but if you work 5 or more extra hours a week, you're able to use that as comp time and take it here and there. Paid holidays, how many do they offer? I think 10 is probably the standard. Parking and commuting, pension plans, retirement plans, professional development. You can take a course. If you get an A, you get 90% reimbursement. You get a B, you get 80% reimbursement. That's pretty common. Profit sharing, if it's a new startup, a newer company where you can get involved in profit sharing. Okay, so here are some of the phrases. What we're going to do is go through these, and this is just great because it gives you the language to get a sense of what a professional, non-confrontational salary negotiation would sound like. So the employer says, I'm at the top here, if you were to receive a job offer from us, would you accept? The candidate would say, you would say, well, I'm really interested in the job in your company. It depends on the offer. I'd be glad to respond to a specific offer. Again, remember, you don't name a figure first. If the employer would say, what would it take for you to accept this job? So again, you're not going to come out and say, well, it definitely has to be $40,000. It would be, if your offer is fair, then I'm sure we can reach an agreement, or I'll consider any reasonable offer. Again, throwing it back into their court. Or you could really say, my research tells me that someone with my skills, education, qualifications doing this job earns between this range. And what is your offer? So you could share a range and ask what their offer is. If the employer says, are you willing to accept the advertised salary? So sometimes you'll see positions out there, maybe as you go through the hiring process, they'll share the salary. They want to share it because they don't want to waste your time or theirs if it's just not where you need it or want it to be. I'd like to discuss the position in more detail first so I know whether I'm the right fit. Love that line. You could say, given the research I did on the position in this geographic area, I was really expecting it to be in this range. Would a slightly higher range be considered? And they might say, no, I'm sorry, I wish we could, but this is our budget, or I don't have the authority. You could also, if this doesn't come up from them, you could say, are you open to a salary discussion? When would my pay be reviewed next is another option. So perhaps they say there's no wiggle room for negotiation, but every 6 months we have an evaluation and typically our employees get a 1 or 2% raise. What percentage raise did your highest performers enjoy last year? So let's say the employer says, I don't have the budget for that highest salary, or I can only give you this much, as I said. You might want to say, well, if that's the case, are you open to us working together to identify ways to cover this salary this year or plan for increased funds next year? You could say, would you be prepared to build in a 6-month raise based on my ability? You could say, thank you for your consideration, given the experience I'm bringing. Again, this would definitely be maybe a non-traditional student who has a lot of work experience, or you've had research, you've done internships, your jobs have been related. Then I'd like to further discuss the benefits package, and that's what we just covered. If the employer says no, which is a definite possibility, no, I'm not open to to talking about it or any negotiation. And a nice tip is just to stay silent for a second or two and wait to see what they say in case an explanation is offered. So again, inquire about discussing other benefits, and maybe it's talking about the flexibility or the benefits package. It's then up to you if you want to accept the offer as is or decline. Ask yourself, how much do you value the position or opportunity? If the employer says yes, which happens, say thank you for your support and then make sure to get everything in writing. That person could leave the next day and it was just a conversation. So make sure to get the job details, the offer, the benefits package, everything in writing before you fully accept. If you decide to turn down the offer, they are way off base. They are not where they should be, according to your research. You should never burn a bridge, and you just never know what may come of it. Maybe you're not the first person to turn it down because they are really underpaying their new hires. And the person goes back to their supervisor and says, we had a great candidate, but I've done research too, and I know that this position, they should be making 3,000 to 5,000 more. And then they might have a discussion and come back and offer you more. So again, never burn a bridge, always be professional and gracious and thank them for the offer. So here's some wording. Thank you again for the job offer. I'm excited about this opportunity. Unfortunately, I cannot accept the salary. Please let me know if you think there's any additional flexibility to continue negotiation, but if not, I'll have to decline the offer. Okay. Back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so what I'm going to do, well, I'll talk about this now. So we have the handout as I just showed you, so feel free to email careerhelp@kutztown.edu to request that handout. And we wanted to draw your attention to two sites that we have that are really helpful in not only practicing interviewing, but also to watch videos about how to negotiate the salary and benefits professionally. So Candid Career is really just, it's a whole library of really current, helpful videos, all different career paths, but also career topics. And salary negotiation is one. You don't even need your single sign-on to log in for that one. And then Big Interview, you will need single sign-on. And that is where you can record a practice interview. So you could log in and record interviews and send it to us for review. But there's a whole curriculum in there about negotiation. So what I'm going to do is pull up salary.com. Okay, salary.com is just a really great site and it's so simple. And by the way, pay attention to this. Businesses, as I said, also want to know that they're on target and they're paying what they should to be competitive. So they go to this site as well. And I'm just going to type, you can see I've typed other ones in here before. Human resources professional, and let's just say Philadelphia, and you click on here. And there's different positions, so you have to find the right position. I don't want one that's too high level. So let's just go to HR Rep 2. And what it shows you is a bell curve. So in Philadelphia, for a traditional HR Rep 2 position, the median salary is $75,000. So maybe I'm thinking an HR Rep 1 would be an entry level, you're starting with your bachelor's degree. So I would probably go back and type HR Rep 1 because this is probably a little bit more advanced. But regardless, you can see the bell curve, right? And you can compare this to different jobs. In here, it also has information on benefits, on job descriptions. You can compare different jobs, similar jobs, and then of course there's job openings. So you can also search for jobs in here. But then what you can do is change where we selected Philadelphia, you can change it to Bethlehem, PA, and see how that bell curve adjusts. This is new too, where they added upper level, lower level jobs. So you can click lower level and you can see this is more an HR generalist entry level position, right? Here's the median, and then you have a sense of that range of where you should be. So that's, again, a great resource. Okay, so that is salary negotiation. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to the Career Center and make a career coaching appointment. You would just log into Handshake, go to Career Center appointments, and pick a date or time or a counselor that works for you, and we'd be happy to talk with you. All right, good luck, everybody. Take care.